So I have to make a backplate for this guitar. Backplates are fairly standardized in the shape for Fender-style guitars, but the problem is the holes on this guitar don't match any of the backplates I've tried. So the first thing that I did was I taped this to some 1/4-inch MDF, took it to the router table, and made an MDF template of the outline. So the tricky part is going to be getting the hole spacing, and I'm going to show what I did to copy this hole spacing onto the template accurately. So the first step is to measure roughly the center of these holes here, and that gives me about 3.114. And I'm going to measure the total width of the template here, which comes out to about 3.7 inches. So then we just do some really basic math. We're going to take the width of our template, which is 3.7 inches, and we're going to subtract the center-to-center diameter of the holes, which is about 3.1 inches, and we get 0.6 inches. So we're going to do 0.6 divided by 2 and get 0.3 inches. And the reason behind the math is very simple. So let's pretend that this is our template. So there's our template. And that line is our center-to-center hole spacing on the body. So what we're doing when we subtract the center-to-center spacing from the template width is we're canceling out this whole area. So now that's subtracted. So the 0.6 inches is the sum of this segment and this segment. And that's why we divide by 2. Because I want to know the distance of this segment to center and the distance of this segment to center. So we divide by 2 and we get 0.3 inches. So now I know that it's 0.3 inches from the edge of the template to the center of the hole on both sides. So I set the calipers to 0.3 inches and hold it up against the template and make a mark. Then you just use a double square to mark that line across both sides of the template. Now just repeat the process, but we're going to do it lengthwise for the holes. So now we got 4.975 inches. Measure the template lengthwise and we get about 5.75 inches. Then we just do the math out exactly the same way, where we take the length of the template, subtract the center-to-center measurement of the holes in the body, we get this number, divide it by 2, set our calipers to 0.39 inches, and use the double square to trace. So if we get the holes to line up on these lines, it'll look good and nice and even on this custom backplate. So all I did here was lay this template down on some tracing paper and a cutting mat, and I cut the tracing paper out to that shape. Then I just stuck it down with some tape. Obviously you want to make sure you're not going anywhere near any of the holes. And then I just used a Sharpie, so just be sure that you're pretty careful with marking the center of the hole, and don't push too hard. As you can see, putting the tracing paper onto the template where I cut it doesn't really result in ideal placement of the holes, which is why we made these lines earlier. So now you just get the holes lined up as best you can over those lines, and then press the tape down around the back of the template. So I played around with the placement a little bit, and this looks good enough to me. And then, very carefully, use an awl and a hammer. Line the awl up over the center of the hole as carefully as you can, and tap it a few times. After that, take it over to the drill press. Start small. This is a 70 thousandths inch drill bit, because if you go too big, it's very possible that you're going to start your hole off of that set mark that you made and ruin everything. So I went from a 70 thousandths bit to a 99 thousandths to 128 thousandths. And I wouldn't increase really by any more than that as you step up your drill bits. But if you only go up by that 20 or 30 thousandths each time, you shouldn't lose your center. And one thing I did was I just had a really loose grip at first with my other hand while I lowered the press with the other hand and just kind of let the bit pull the piece to center. You'll kind of feel it and see it when it gets there, then just hold it down and drill through. So the next part is going to be actually using this template to cut a piece of pickguard material. And always remember that a pickguard blank always has a matte side and a shiny side. I prefer the matte side because my name is Matt, but depending on which side you want to do, make sure that your template is labeled so you know what way you're doing it. Because if you take this template and stick it down this way on the back, now you're side facing shit. Because if you take this template and put it on that way, okay. So just double check. So now I'm just going to take the template and double stick tape it to my pickguard material. Now I'm just going to cut this out on the bandsaw and finish it up on the router table and drill press. I always use the drill press last because drilling through the pickguard material can cause it to bulge a little bit and separate it from the template. So there you have it. All the holes lined up perfectly, and everything just looks really good. Alright, so that's it for this video. Till next time.